It's me, Joe, again. I just wanted to give you guys an update on something, this whole Ebola scare thing. It seems it's taken a very awkward turn. Let me see, it was on October 10th. Well, let's go back. They brought the Ebola, people that were infected, Americans that were infected with Ebola, they brought them to the United States. They took them to Dallas, Texas, and they had them in this secured room. They said, everything's okay, we're going to take care of him. I believe his name was Eric Duncan. They had him supposed to be being taken care of. Well, now, a nurse that was taking care of him while she was wearing full protective gear was infected with the Ebola virus and has tested positive for it since his death. They have her now in isolation. Okay, and by the way, my heart does go out to the family of that medical worker. I'm sorry that the CDC and the powers that be put her in such danger, and I am very, very sorry for your loss. And my prayers will be with you and your family. But now she's infected. She, and for some reason, this nurse getting infected in Texas gives cause for, what's his name, Governor Dan Molley to sign in effect on October 10th in Connecticut, okay, martial law. There is martial law now in Connecticut. It is medical martial law. There has not been one confirmed case of Ebola in Connecticut whatsoever. However, it states that Governor Molley has declared a public health and emergency in Connecticut, authorizing the isolation of any individuals reasonably believed to have been exposed to the Ebola virus. Okay, so this means anyone that's showing any type of symptoms, if they're even believed to be showing symptoms of the Ebola virus, they will be isolated, they will be quarantined, and their rights will be taken from them in a state that hasn't had any confirmed Ebola viruses. Mind you, Ebola is pretty easy to test for, okay? You could just test everybody. Here are the symptoms for Ebola: nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, red eyes, raised rash, chest pain and cough, severe weight loss, bleeding unusually from the eyes, and bruising. Okay. Yes, while that's true, bleeding usually from the eyes and bruising is kind of way out there, or bleeding from the ears and different things like that. But that's when you're in the later stages of Ebola. The first stages, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, red eyes, raised rash, chest pains, those are the symptoms of the common cold or flu. And they're locking people up that demonstrate any of these symptoms. So if you have a flu, you're isolated, and your rights are being stripped from you if you live in Connecticut. And you have no choice if you want to take a vaccine or if you don't want to take a vaccine. And this vaccine hasn't even showed that it will stop people from having Ebola. It hasn't even proven that it will keep you safeguarded from it. And it hasn't proven that it will stop the spread of Ebola in the first place. Not to mention, Texas is where the nurse is. We're talking Connecticut. And Connecticut goes into martial law. This is beyond words. This is exactly the kind of games and things like Adolf Hitler did when he started taking over Nazi Germany. And everybody forgets that Adolf Hitler was elected to office. Everybody forgets that Adolf Hitler, socialized medicine. Socialized education. Then the next thing you know, it was all the Jews' fault. Except now it's going to be all the Christians' fault. And it starts one by one. Infect a small population of people. Watch it rise into a catastrophe. Then come along and pick up the pieces. They've been doing that for years. America has done that forever. We'll bomb your ass and then we'll give you Pop-Tarts. We've always done that. And herein lies the problem. We're now playing games with people's rights. American citizens' rights. We're not bombing some far-off country. We're bringing infected people over here. Then a nurse somehow gets infected when she's wearing all her safety gear. And Ebola is not air transferable. You have to ingest someone's sweat or spit. You have to have a sexual relationship with them, kiss them on the lips, or, French kissing, things like that to catch Ebola. She was in full protective gear and somehow she caught Ebola. So are they not telling us that it's an airborne virus at this point? Are they, I don't understand. And how did this nurse, who's well trained, get infected with protective gear? And it came up after, Eric Duncan died. That makes no sense. None of this really makes sense. And then again, Ebola is an easy blood test. You take the test, you find out if someone's got Ebola. But Connecticut is just locking up and isolating anybody that may even have Ebola. The exact wording of what Governor Molly said. Yeah, Governor Don Molly. He said that anyone that was possibly exposed to Ebola. Well, technically, nobody in Connecticut could have been possibly exposed to Ebola because the only person that had it was the man in Texas and the nurse. Now, but everybody in Connecticut, if they're sick, nauseated, vomiting, have the runs, oh, that's it. You're isolated. That gives them their reason to lock you up, take away your rights, and there's nothing you can do about it. And if you think it's going to stop in Connecticut, think again. Think again. It will start other places too. It's only a matter of time before every other governor starts falling in line. These are scary times we live in. And we need to actually pay attention to what's going on. Ebola is no joke and is no laughing matter. And if the state of Texas did a emergency shutdown since there was a nurse that got infected, I could get that. Because they don't know how long she was out. They don't know who she could have infected in Texas. But instead of doing martial law in Texas, they do martial law in Connecticut. Which makes no logical sense at all. It's ridiculous. And these more ridiculous things are going to keep happening. If you haven't noticed, everybody across the United States is doing in school what they call Common Core. Common Core is socialized education. First they socialize their medicine. Then they socialize their education. Now there's a giant health scare. I swear it's like Barack Obama's, it's like he's looking at Mein Kampf from Hitler going, all right, what's the next gameplay? Because that's exactly what he's doing. He's pulling out all the same gameplays that Stalin, Hitler, Fidel, all of them used. He's using this to switch us from the democratic republic that we are to a socialist republic. And that's not good, people. Our forefathers, they committed what was known as an act of treason against Britain when they dumped all the tea into the harbor. That was an act of treason. They called themselves freedom fighters. Britain would have called them terrorists because they were protecting what they believed to be inalienable rights. It's all around us, and it's happening quick and fast, and there was a lot of Jews that stayed in Germany, and a lot of them are dead. There was a few Jews that said, I'm getting the chutzpah out of here. And their families are alive today. There are some that lived through the horrible agony that happened to the Jews that got put in the concentration camps. And it haunts them, their children, and their children's children with the just stories and pain that they've seen that their loved ones went through. I tell you right now, if you haven't found Jesus, you need to. Because all this stuff, whether it's the end of the world, whether it's just another Adolf Hitler thing happening again, a Holocaust, either way, I would want to be friends with Jesus right now. Because the government, you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist anymore to see what's going on. You don't have to be a nut job, screaming on the corner with tinfoil on your head anymore. You can see what's going on. Next year, I won't even be able to post things like this because they've already given the rights to the internet over to dictate what we see, what we watch to the international community, in the UN, which is against our rights. They've already stopped free speech and given us free speech zones. They've already stopped our democratic medicine, our economic medicine, and have made us go into socialized medicine. They've already taken our schooling and turned it into socialized schools. There is a pattern going on. There are FEMA camps that were built all over. They don't hide that fact because they're for emergencies. And like clockwork, after they've all been built, well, what do you know? We got a whole bunch of Ebola scare going on now, don't we? It's very real. It's very much out there. And yes, there are crackpots and conspiracy theorists, and I could sound like one. But there are truth to things too. Too many people don't understand that a conspiracy is not a bad word. Actually, conspiracy means that 5 or more people have decided to cover up something, to hide the truth, and to act as though something else has happened. Or a conspiracy to commit a crime. In that aspect, it's 5 or more people have conspired to commit a crime. Conspiracy, conspired, you know, they're rooted in Latin, but I digress. The thing is, our country is not free anymore. Our right to free speech has been violated. Our right to freedom of choice has been violated. If I don't want health care, I shouldn't have to get health care. Not saying I wouldn't, and any idiot should have health care, but you should have the right to choose. Because there are certain Christians, I don't necessarily agree with their theology, I am Christian, where they won't go to a doctor for anything. I do believe that some of what we have as medicine is answered prayers. That's my opinion. But they have the right to their opinion. But yet now they have to have medicine. They're trying to pass laws to force parents to take their kids to doctors if they don't believe in that sort of thing. They're trying to pass laws that go against our rights to the pursuit of happiness, to freedom, to free speech, which means I can dog Barack Obama if I want to, and I can talk crap about Governor Dan Malley, and I can run down the commissioner of the CDC, or the director of the CDC, Tom Friedman, I'm sorry, because it's all a big game, it's all a big gimmick. Ebola case in Texas, and we locked down Connecticut. Well, that sounds like they're trying to oppress the people of Connecticut, and they're trying to let the people of Texas just get sick. What sense does any move that's being made make? I think, as a country, we need to get up, wake up, and think about what's going on. But anyways, I'm sorry, I'm Joe Powell, and that's been my 2 cents. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys found something in it, got some information from it. God bless you, and you'll be in my prayers, YouTube.